are the Cardinals finally turning the corner?
I mean, clearly. Yeah.
They've fixed everything, right?
3 in a row.
Everything's fixed. They haven't lost all this week.
Well, Andrew Kisner is the catcher. I mean, that's all they needed to do is throw Wilson under the bus and have Kiz catch all the games. Right. Clearly, it's worked out swimmingly for them.
Just fine.
It is kind of interesting how that works out, isn't it?
I know. I understand that Wilson Contreras still being in the lineup as the DH.
He's helping, right?
Just fine.
But what's your take on that? That just as the Cardinals make this very big, what I would consider rash decision after 5 weeks to sideline Contreras as the catcher, they almost immediately go on their first 3-game winning streak of the season with Andrew Kisner. What do you make of it? Give me your hot take.
Is it? I call it a fluke, honestly. Okay. It's still not a good look. I think it further exemplifies the fact that you need Wilson Contreras in your lineup, and therefore you find any way you can to put him in your lineup by catching him. So I mean,
but Andrew Kisner, have you seen his numbers over the last 17 plate appearances?
I know he went 2 for 4 yesterday. He drove in a run. I get it.
Over the past 5 or so games, he's gotten an OPS of 1,100. Dude's been raking. Which, by the way, I love to see. I have said time and time again, the Cardinals took it too far. They took the Andrew Kisner hate too far to the extent that they bent over backward to make sure they didn't have him in a prominent role when it came to signing Wilson Contreras and pursuing other trades. So, they tried so hard to avoid the exact situation that they're in. Good for Andrew Kisner to now be getting a little bit of credit and then being able to do something with it, not only managing the pitchers behind the plate, but producing at the plate as a batter. I feel very good for Andrew Kisner because he's taken a lot of shrapnel that I understand because the batting average was pretty paltry there for a while. But you know who he's tied now for the season in OPS? It's another Cardinal. It's identical. And it's not Arenado because he's above Arenado.
No, it's not Arenado.
He's already passed him up.
Is it Carlson?
He's tied to the percentage point with Tyler O'Neill in OPS.
Oh, yeah.
They're both at 620. So I'm just saying, Andrew Kisner, giving a little love to my guy Kiz.
Andrew Kisner with an opportunity, I thought could be a perfectly fine catcher for the Cardinals.
I thought after Yachty left, they could go 50-50 timeshare.
Right.
Get a veteran who matched up with the splits at the plate where you could really, and then you could kind of have personal catchers for everybody, and you could split it up that way if you didn't want to spend big on a catcher.
Totally fine with that.
They decided they had to spend big on a catcher, Andy. It was, but guess what?
But it's still working.
What has changed in 5 weeks when they said we have to? We couldn't possibly live in a world where Andrew Kisner is playing a prominent role for us, and now he is, and it's going just fine. Not to say that I'm not glad the Cardinals got Contreras, and I like Contreras, and I hope he works out as a catcher because I think that's the way the roster makes the most sense. But it sure is interesting to look at it and go, well, the guy they really bent over backward, did a lot of legwork to avoid him in a prominent role. Now he's in one, and the team's doing just fine. Maybe they could have spent the money elsewhere, but as long as Contreras hits, Andy, like you said, you're going to be happy with the performance of him. I just think it's interesting. Wanted to ask for your perspective. You say it's kind of a fluke that they go on the winning streak when Kisner is installed, and I tend to agree with you, but I just wanted to give him some love.
But your point's well taken. I don't think the Cardinals needed to shell out for this. Necessarily. I mean, I understand that they felt a little bit desperate about
they did feel desperate.
Desperate about their catcher situation, and rightfully so. You're giving up the chance to keep around, a Hall of Fame guy who's retiring, and now you have to find a contingency plan basically on the fly. But again, it's kind of a bet that you make. The fact that you didn't have a contingency plan in place, you knew it was Liotti's last year.
Well, that's true. It wasn't a surprise at the end of the season.
You had a chance to get Andrew Kisner ready for some up time as an everyday Cardinals catcher, but an everyday catcher.
With Kisner, I think they wanted that for him, but his offense last year was so poor that they decided, no, we can't put any stock into that. We're going to have to get better offensively at the catcher position. The problem was, I think they underestimated the degree to which, like they always say, Yachty is so important. Oh, he's so great. If you believe that, why did you think you were just going to be able to bring in another guy to just do what Yachty did? Yeah, do it like Yachty did. Thanks. No, that's not going to work. I think the Cardinals didn't prepare enough for the reality that there was going to be a learning curve here for Wilson Contreras. And then a few weeks in, the pitchers are griping about him probably, and so you just go, well, we got a problem on our hands. Man, that was destined to fail if that was all the legwork the Cardinals put in. They thought they could talk to Wilson Contreras for 3 hours in Florida and find out that he wants to be Yachty. Yay! Okay, can he? And is it fair to ask him to be without kind of having this experience within the organization? I still think they bungled the heck out of the whole thing, Andy. It can work out for them, but there's no denying if you kind of follow the breadcrumbs, it's like, man, this could have gone a lot of different ways, and the way that it ended up going is got the Cardinals in kind of between a rock and a hard place right now. But, hey, they're winning games. Are they turning it around? I mean, I think so. I think they are turning it around,
Here's
Andy.
the thing. The bullpen is the reason why they have won 2 games in Chicago.
The last 2
right
nights,
now.
They went A squad and then B squad with the bullpen, and all basically 6 of them, talking about the Cardinal relievers, came through.
Yeah.
Palante gave up a homer. That was it. Inning in a third, gave up a home run. Sometimes you walk a guy or you allow base runners, but the next guy picks you up. Chris Stratton with a big K last night and then pitching another inning or so. I mean, they've been excellent. And then Gio, clean 9th inning last night when you knew that Helsley would not be available. I mean, that is the story of the last couple of games, if you ask me.
Like, they're allowing free bases at a much lower clip than the starters are,
Huge.
very least. Like, they've had to clean up the starters' mess all season long.
You're not kidding about that.
I mean, they've had a good week of doing that. It's not sustainable, though. Like, you still need the length. They're not going to give you a spotless 4 2/3 every single night. Like, it's got to get better, but that's why the Cardinals are where they are at the moment, in position to finally get a sweep of somebody. So that's what's been nice to see, at least, those guys stepping up in those situations. But again, this has to be a more sustainable approach. And I think the Cardinals have looked largely the same.
Ooh, interesting. Even as they're winning, you don't think a lot has changed, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, the starters have been
rough. Yep.
I mean, they've gotten some timely hits. They've responded in some big spots. I just think the bullpen has kind of cleaned up a little some of those late innings that they had missed out on the last few weeks, and that's how it looks when you have a bullpen, that when you have 3 guys that all work out in the exact same game, then you're going to win games like this. The problem is you just can't expect that throughout a 162-game season.
You can't expect 6 guys to come into a baseball game over the span of 2 days and only have 1 solo home run allowed.
And that's it.
And then you're golden beyond that. Like, that's not sustainable. So I would make the case, and you made it, and I'll make it again, that the bullpen has covered up some blemishes the last couple of days. And the offense has kind of done its job. I mean, Paul DeYoung coming through yesterday was huge. He's going to continue to get playing time, Andy. Feel a little bad for what that might mean for Tommy Edman, Brendan Donovan on a day-to-day basis, because the squeeze is going to be what it is. But you got to have Paul DeYoung in the lineup when he's hitting the way that he has with power. You'll trade some of the strikeouts if he continues to give you power production. Was huge to see last night. Dylan Carlson, by the way, hashtag everyday Dylan, follows that up with a triple and ends up coming around to score on the pitching wedge by Kiz. Kiz had 2 doubles yesterday. You see the pitching wedge into shallow right field? I mean, he placed that thing perfectly in the Bermuda Triangle. But those are the kinds of things the Cardinals are going to need if you consistently have the starting pitching fall short. In the last 2 days, the Cardinals have won games, but the starting pitching has fallen short. Jack Flaherty, we'll say it as much as we can that he's got to be better. I think he's more than aware of it based on the way that post game went for him yesterday, but he's got to be better. Gave up 12 base runners, Andy. He does lead the league in double plays from a starting pitcher. The reason for that is he's always working around traffic on the bases, and he got pretty much every double play ball that he needed yesterday. It came to him in short order, and then you were able to get that fly ball of Seiya Suzuki to end his outing in the 5th there with the bases loaded. That's fortunate. You can't pretend like you didn't get some luck going your way. I'll acknowledge that the Cardinals have needed and have deserved some bad bounces to turn around and some good breaks to go their way based on the way things have gone this year. But it can just as easily go the other direction. So I think it's not all that different at this point, even though the Cardinals have won some games. The starting pitching has got to be the thing that stabilizes. And if that happens, Andy, this Cardinals team is going to win the NL Central. You know why? Because there's nobody else that's going to come up and claim the thing. I'm serious. The Pirates have lost like 8 of their last 11. The Brewers are in the same boat. I think they've lost 7 of 10 or something. Pirates already lost today. They're playing the Rockies. They're up 3-0. It gets tied 3-3, and then the Pirates have the bases loaded, nobody out, and they don't score.
Yeah,
I'm telling you what,
now
dude,
lost 9 of 10.
9 of 10.
The Pirates.
They're nothing. The Pirates are going to maybe strain to win 79, 80 games, and that'll be, we'll pat them on the back and say nice going. But that's not sustainable. They're not a threat in this division. It's the Cardinals and it's the Brewers. It's the Cardinals and it's the Brewers. The Cubs could maybe get to that point. I just don't think they have enough just yet, Andy. They're going to be in that 79 to 80 win conversation with the Pirates, perhaps. The Brewers, the question is going to be, what does their offense look like long term? I'm not impressed 1 through 9 with their lineup. I don't think it's sustainable to the extent that the Cardinals are. And then they do have one thing the Cardinals don't have is I think the potential to have a very, very good top line rotation. But if their pitcher's health happens to go a different direction, the window is going to be wide open for this Cardinals team. I know it sounds crazy, but I've been thinking the last few days, like, all this team's got to do is kind of make their way back toward 500 or so by the end of June, which I think is doable. And then the race is going to be on, and it may only take 85, 86 wins to get this division. I still think that's well within the Cardinals' reach if their pitching can stabilize a little bit more so than we've seen recently.
They need it.
They do. It's a must.
Need it.
You have to have it. And Contreras is not the reason that it hasn't happened so far.
No.
I think there are, honestly, though, I think there are a lot of reasons that it hasn't happened so far. You can look at the new pitching coach. There's an adjustment there. You can look at a lot of pitchers being gone for the WBC, new catcher. All these things are factors. Don't just blame it on one guy.
Yeah, and it's not just that the pitching coach is bad. No, I don't think he's bad. It's that he just got the job.
Right, and he was with the
ago.
team. He was on the team. He was an associate pitching coach before, but now it's his show. Right. Dusty Blake is the guy, and they've got to. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. And more than anything, in my estimation, the shift ban is killing the Cardinals because they are a pitch-to-contact staff. They don't miss a lot of bats, and now their Gold Glove fielders can't play wherever they want to. And it made sense that was going to give them fits. It's why in spring training they talked about, we need to try and miss more bats. It was something they made effort to do. We still haven't seen a ton of it from them, Andy. And so if they're not going to get there, you just have to try and find other ways to improve. And I don't know how realistic it is to get all that much better, but it's certainly going to be, you would hope, a little better than a 6 ERA from Flaherty and from Matz and Michaelis. They've got to get those guys on track a little bit more moving forward.
875 KTGR. Are the Cardinals finally turning the corner in this 2023 season? After 3 straight wins, going for the sweep tonight. You can hear it on KTGR, Cardinals Cubs at 640.